It's great to have you again back on our channel. My name is Amara.
And my name is Gospel.
Today is going to be a start of something I think you guys will find valuable, and it's all about the conversation series. Now, what we're going to be doing with the conversation series is just featuring different couples and, just kind of having that conversation on unique things or unique issues or unique challenges within their marriage, and just talking about how they navigated this. And I hope you guys are going to find it valuable.
Yeah, trust me, we'll be talking about issues around sex, love, and relationship in different angles.
Yes, and if you're new to our channel, please do not forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on your notification bell. It will be great to just have you guys join us and partner with us on what we're doing.
So today we'll be discussing with a wonderful couple. We've known them. They are so wonderful. They talk about issues around relationship. They talk about sex. In fact, there was a time they did a series on sex in relation to marriage, and it was wonderful.
Yes.
We are not going to waste your time, but we'll tell you who they are. You know him. He's a music minister. He's so popular with a song. Maybe when he comes on board, he will tell us that song. I don't want to open it up yet. We're talking about Afy Douglas and his wife, Ayiba.
Yes, his lovely wife, his one and only wife.
Yes.
I just want to welcome Afy and Ayiba. It's so nice that you guys have decided to join us in on this conversation today. So today we want to have a conversation with them about...
We'll have to talk about vulnerability and openness in marriage, in relationship, marriage to be specific. So we'll be speaking to them, they will be telling us a bit about how they've been open to each other, and then tell us principles that married people can use to, build a level of intimacy. Because we understand that for you to have that strong intimacy, you have to be open, you have to be vulnerable. Maybe we are wrong, maybe they have a different view. We'll all find out from them today.
One thing I know about this couple, although I'm not so close to them, but again, you look at people and there's a lot, you kind of get the vibes from them. I see that they're best of friends, they're very close. That's the vibe I get from them. So although we're not in the same physical location, the same physical space, but that's the vibe I get each time. And Afy is someone who is a family-oriented person. He cares about, making sure that the home front is secured. And I'll say that Ayiba is, well, they're both lucky to have each other. So I don't want to say Afy is lucky to have Ayiba, or Ayiba is they're both lucky to have.
She's lucky to have me. She's lucky to have me.
So let's not talk too much. I know some of you are yearning to have them on board. Afy and Ayiba, please, can you let us know who you are, how long you've been married, and tell us a bit about yourself, please.
Okay, like you already introduced, my name is Afy Douglas, and this is my girlfriend. What's your name? Tell
Ayiba.
me.
My name is Ayiba. My name is Ayiba.
Yes, and we're glad to be here. Thank you for having us. We've been married for 10 plus years. We'll be 11 in March, and we're planning to have a grand party for our 10th anniversary, but the virus locked down everywhere and we haven't been able to have it. So 10 plus years we've been married. We have 3 amazing children, and like you observe, we love family. We believe after God, family is next before ministry, and that's how it's supposed to be in the on scale of preference, if there's anything like that. So we're glad that we're here to talk about openness, talk about vulnerability, which we believe are 2 key ingredients for every successful marriage. So we're glad you invited us, and we're open to say anything and everything.
Okay, that's fine. Before we talk about the real thing now, there's something I mentioned about your music. I don't want to say it. I remember it. Tell us a bit about it and tell us how that element of your life has created a bond between you and your wife, because I know she sings as well.
Yes,
so she's a better singer than I am. Anyway, although I'm more exposed, so I have to help her and see her. Because I went to marry her from the village.
Oh my gosh!
From their village, I have to expose her in the city, So we're both music ministers, and we both started out really young. At age 15, she was already music director in her church. leading adults, some of them old enough to be her parents, and ordering them around and all of that. I also started quite early at 18. We're both music ministers. I'm popularly known for writing the song Savior, which is a global sound of worship right now. It's a privilege to be that person. And she's here to doing a lot also. A lot. What, you want to add something?
I think another thing I observed about Ayiba is that she's a woman of few words.
Are you for real?
Well, that's another vibe.
On screen. A woman of few words on screen.
On screen, okay.
Okay. So for our viewers, you might want to check out that song, Savior. It's gonna bless you. It's an inspirational song that has blessed so many people. You have to check it on YouTube. It's there. Okay, carry on.
Now, we want to ask you, what does vulnerability mean to you? So we hear the term vulnerability. What does it mean?
In the context of marriage.
If I want to try to define vulnerability without using the dictionary, I think it's the when you're not afraid to appear weak. Let me use that in simple terms. You're not afraid to show your weakness, and being vulnerable with your spouse. It should be a thing, but we're Africans. It's not African for a man especially to be vulnerable. Like, you're always supposed to be strong. Being man means always strong, always not showing the weak side of you. You're always well put together. You're supposed to cover and protect everybody else, so nobody should see you cry, even when crying is the only thing that will heal you, and you need to be healed to carry the family. So vulnerability is allowing that weakness to show. Yes, not everybody should see that part of you, but now that your spouse is a part of you, come on, there's no hiding anything. They have to see every part of you. I think that's the side of intimacy that a lot of African men miss. When we hear intimacy, the first thing we think about is sex and all of that. But vulnerability, openness, no secrets, being naked and not ashamed, that's vulnerability. That's the Bible word for vulnerability, is being naked and not ashamed. So that's what I have to say about it. Yeah.
Ayiba, do you want to add to that?
I don't want to add anything. I think it's everything. Everything he said. It's appearing weak, basically. That's what it is.
But from my point of view, I don't think vulnerability means you're weak, even though...
No, he used the term appearing
weak.
Yes.
But I'm also saying that, most men see vulnerability as being weak. You want to protect yourself. You don't want your wife to think you're weak. So I would have a question on that. Does that mean being vulnerable shows you are weak? Does that reveal the weakness in a man? Because you've gone into that angle already.
Yes, I think that's what it is. Everyone has a weakness. Now, we cover it up, even with our spouses. Allowing your spouse to see the weaker side, I think that's what vulnerability is. Because you actually have a weakness. But we try to cover it, we try to hide it, we try to cover with all the fig leaves and all of that. Meanwhile, God has a better plan for cover. When you're trying to cover it within your own way, God has a better plan for cover. So vulnerability is actually allowing your weaker side to show. That's what vulnerability is, I think it is.
What is the difference between vulnerability and openness? Because they are all interrelated, if I would say.
Yes, I think the only difference is the weakness we talked about. When you're open, it doesn't have anything to do with weakness. It has to do with being transparent, being honest, being a person of integrity, not having double life. You are one thing at home, you're something else outside there. When you're open, everything is out there. What they see is what they get. What they get is what they see. There's no gospel in church and a different gospel at work. There's no Afy at home and a different Afy in church. That's openness. But vulnerability basically has to do with allowing the weaker side to show. not minding, maybe they're going to view you as smaller or whatever it is, but you're just vulnerable because you're supposed to be vulnerable with this person. It's part of openness anyway, but just that it deals with the weaker side.
Yeah.
Now, for some young people, some married people out there just listening to you right now, because sometimes they say people fake it in relationship, they are not being real, so they have to be real. So where do they draw the line in terms of how much you can actually let somebody, or how much you can be weak or seem weak to somebody? So because some people you find they've been in a relationship and they now open up so much, and then at the end of the day they didn't end up with that person, and then they enter another relationship and then they open up so much. So again, do you think that as someone who is not married yet, so what's the level of vulnerability? And if you can share some thoughts on that.
Wow. It's a tough one. And it has a lot to do with being led by the Spirit and wisdom. Both must come into play, because really, how do you trust a person, to that point where you become vulnerable with them? It has to take a very high level of trust.
When you're not married.
Yes, when you're not yet married, for you to come to that place where you are totally, honest and vulnerable. This is me. These are my weak points. These are my, some things can happen when you're in a relationship, and you have to, show this weak side. Maybe there are men who are emotional, they cry, and then because you're in a relationship with this person, you just bottle it up. Maybe you go somewhere else and vent, and they don't get to see that part of you. And when they see it in the marriage, and they go like, he's such a weak man. He actually sheds tears and all of those things and all of that. And people pretend a lot. All of us, we put our best foot forward. When you are in the presence of this person, you're trying to impress. We all do that. You meet this girl, you like her. Maybe you are not thinking of marriage yet, but you want to start a friendship. You put your best foot forward. We all do it. But it comes to that time where you confirm in your spirit, and then the person also, and that this is going to end up as a marriage. You begin to open up layer after layer, but like I said, you have to be led by the Spirit. You have to be wise. You must discern. You must be discerning to know when is the right time to let off some things, when is the right time to just keep quiet. But there are basic things you can't keep away from the person, else the marriage will be a lie in the first place.
So is that at the point where you're sure that you're getting into marriage with this person?
Yes, at the point where you're sure. You have confirmed with your spirit. The Holy Spirit is telling you this is it. The person has also agreed. You basically, it may still not be everything as the Spirit leads you, but there are certain things that you cannot. What if you have you have a medical challenge that the person should know, and then you hide it? You have a child before they are coming together, and the person doesn't know. Some of those things they should know before they get married to you, so that they can make up their mind. Can they do this? Because it will become such a huge shock after they're already married, and they can accuse you. You didn't tell me the truth, so the marriage is a lie in the first place. So they might want to walk out and all of that. So some certain things you cannot keep when you're sure.
You get married, and daily you begin a lot of things. It's like exhaust. Opening up fully. I mean, getting to know, before we get married, every single thing.
But once we get married, you shouldn't be afraid to let them see you as you are. If you're a crybaby, cry, let her see you.
But me? I want to ask this question because somebody might just be listening to this now and be wondering that I don't want to be open to my husband, or the husband might be saying, I don't want to be open to my wife because she might use this against me. So maybe there have been instances where this person have been very, open and vulnerable, and it didn't pan out well for them. So, and again, there was something you said that was very significant. You spoke about trust. So you find that probably there has been some trust issues, and then they don't want to get to that point where they are vulnerable. What can be done, because the marriage cannot survive like this based on what you're saying. So what do you think they can do to navigate this season?
think there's any navigating. That's the truth. I don't think there's any navigating. So it's like saying all men cheat, so I won't get married. It's like saying something like that. But there are amazing men out there, so you don't take a decision based on there's this time when, yes, so like he said, wisdom comes into play. But I don't think because of an experience then you decide not to do this, because on the long run it could affect you negatively, like he said. So what if it's something like you have a child and then
because someone left the relationship
because
when
you
found out you have a child, so now you don't want to say it to this person. That's why I say it all the time. I think the most important part of marriage is making the right choice. So it's even before you come into the marriage. So I don't see why I have married this person and I still have issues of trust. That means I made a mistake in the first place. That's what that is telling me. If I cannot open up, if I'm still thinking they might use it. We're married, we're one.
No,
so what are you using against? No, what she's talking about in the marriage.
In the marriage, okay.
What are they using against me?
I understand what you're saying, but I've seen situations where issues happen within the marriage that has broken trust. So now this person has told the wife something, and when they had issues, and she used it against him to talk about him, to make him feel less of himself. Now he's thinking, if I am to be open, vulnerable to her, what happens if we have issues tomorrow? So in that context, he's looking at how to,
Yeah, it's a tough one. It's a tough one, but it still goes back to the fact that you probably didn't, a wise man said the highest decision, if you look at a man's wife, his level of wisdom. If you look at it's the spouses, when you see that you chose this person, and then how did you choose a person that use what you share as husband and wife against you? It tells of the decision-making process before the marriage. But now you're in the marriage, we have to solve the problem. You have to talk through it. We have to talk about it like, you can't do this. You're supposed to be my spouse. Who else am I going to tell? Who else am I going to show my vulnerable side? Yeah. If I show you my vulnerable side and you use it against me, something is wrong. Something is wrong. You understand? I'm not going to, sometimes these are some of the things some men who are supposed to be good men use as excuses to be unfaithful. Like, now I have found someone else who I can trust with my life. She's not my wife, but she's a friend. When I confide in her, 100 years to come, it stays with her. She doesn't use it against me. That becomes an attraction, and it could lead to being unfaithful. Although I still say nobody's excusable. If you cheat, it means you are a cheat. It's not because of what someone does to you. If you are unfaithful, it's because you. The Bible says a good man out of the good in his heart does good things. And then an evil person out of the evil that is in his heart. So he's evil in the first place. If he's saying it's someone that pushed him to do evil, it's just an excuse. All right. So, but you can put your spouse in such a hard place if you cannot be trusted with vulnerability. That's such a huge thing, especially for us men. It's so huge that I decide to be vulnerable with you because you're my wife, and then you use it. Even if you don't use it against me outside, it could be just between us. And then the next time we have an argument, you bring this up. It can be such a shock, and then I decide to start bottling up, not sharing with you. But not sharing with you, it's dangerous because there's a need to share.
Yeah.
You come into someone's presence and you begin to feel like this person can be trusted. You can't bottle things up. You will spill it out someday. So spouses need to help each other. So if we're in that situation, we need to talk about it. You probably have to discern if your spouse is not that mature and begin to help them come to that level of maturity, because it's a level of maturity. Everybody's coming from different places. You understand? So help them grow to that place where they know that you can't use such things against me. It's a place of trust in the first place. I decided to open up to you into my dark side, into my weak side. So that's big deal for me. If you use it against me, it means you are still a baby. So please, baby, please grow. Baby, grow so that we can have this thing. But we must talk about it, pray about it, and help each other get to that.
So that's what I was going to say. So instead of bottling up, you who they use it again instead of bottling up. You talk
about it.
Yeah.
Have adult discussion moments when you sit down and you tell her no crying, but sometimes you ladies can become manipulative emotionally. They will just start crying when there's an important issue to talk about. Do you cry?
No,
you don't have crying. My wife is the macho person.
Well, I think what you're saying is very correct. But then, is it possible for people in a relationship, even within an outside marriage, to build a strong level of intimacy without being vulnerable? Is it possible?
It's not, because if you say it's intimate, it means you have to open up. You show, yes, even outside marriage. You know, there's what spirits connect. We are spiritual people. You discern. You know when you have met someone who's mature, who is on your level spiritually, emotionally, psychologically, even academically, and you know that this person is mature. Even if this doesn't work out, they're not going to use it. There are people like that. There are relationships that didn't lead to marriage, and they're still very good friends. They know secrets about each other and nothing. They are married to different people and they are mature like that. You know, so you can, if you're not in a hurry, if you're not driving too fast and missing the road signs, you will notice if someone is not mature to your level, if they still need to grow, if you're not just rushing after physical attraction and I love them because of butterflies in my tummy.
Because I think that's the reason why one of them will decide to keep some things, because right now you have noticed that probably this person isn't as mature, can't handle certain things, so you decide to keep it. But if we don't miss those signs like you're talking about, then you know this person, we can have a conversation, we can understand, you know, what this is about.
I think a lot about what you guys are saying touches on compatibility. So you were saying something about just sense that you're able to connect with someone, whether it's on a physical or mental or even intellectual level. So a lot of people find that there's this disconnect, and I think that that's why some people don't really get to that point where they're vulnerable with their spouse, because this woman will not get it, or this guy will not get it. So what's the point? Why do I have to? Yes, why do I have to? Or this person isn't mature enough to handle this. So sharing it with her or with him could, you know, create more damage. Yes.
I also want to say that vulnerability, from what you guys have said, is not a negative thing.
Yes.
It's not because then you don't want to show that side of you.
Yes.
Crying is not even a bad thing because it's therapeutic.
Yes.
Before I say, I shouldn't say. You know, crying is good. It has a soothing effect. Yes. So if someone feels like crying, you know, I think the problem is how we are raised as men. We are told men don't cry. You have to be strong. But that doesn't make you different from a person who cries. So the point I'm making is that vulnerability for me is not just a negative thing, it's a positive thing to do. And then I want to ask, to what extent can one be open with the spouse?
Well, for me, I think all the way. If you guys are married, you should go all the way. Yeah, the first few years you're still studying them to check them out, but from the beginning, if you're compatible, you new areas of friendship will open up every day. And when you get to that place where, you know, after a few years you know this person, you can trust them, you should go all the way. There shouldn't be anything you keep back.
It's not as easy as it sounds.
No, it's not.
It's not. You know, it's a compatibility. Like, it's not. But like he said earlier, we're two different people. We come from different places. I eat on the dining table where I'm coming from. He eats on the floor.
Anywhere.
You know that kind of thing. So it's not. It's really not as easy as it sounds. I'll give an example. When I married my husband, he doesn't like too much. Don't ask me too much questions about the money. Don't ask too much questions. You know, it's here. It's in my pocket. What do we need? It's just in my pocket. So you don't ask too many questions. In fact, it got to a point where my husband will shop by himself. So sometimes we have 500 toothpaste. He goes out so that you don't just ask many questions. We have overflow of toothpaste, soap, everything. He went to shop himself. I mean, shop as much as pepper and salt he will buy by himself. So he was like, in fact, it was like that when I married him. So I knew. So don't ask too much questions. The money is here. Not too much. So it's not easy. So it's a walk. You get in and you begin to work. So it progresses from there.
Yeah. So we should go all the way with openness.
Sorry, say that again.
I said we should go, like, from what he asked, we should go all the way. There's no extent, there's no, share some, keep some. We should go all the way.
Okay, now that you're saying that you should go all the way, are there some private or personal issues that you think that a spouse is better off dealing with by themselves?
There are actually situations like that. Yes, you guys are married, but the thing is, this person is not as mature. Let's leave the premarital process. Maybe you didn't get it right, but now you are in the marriage. And then truly one person is a 90% and the other one is a 40%. You have to give them time and help them mature to that point, because really they can't handle certain things, whether you like it or not. It's a reality. It happens in marriages. So the more mature person should help the other person, grow to a certain level where they can manage certain things. You can give them clues and all of that. Just make sure that it's not something harmful to them, not something hurtful to them. So you don't give off everything. Give them what they can handle, but help them grow to the point where you can now open up and share everything.
Okay.
It's authentic.
Sorry, I thought you finished before I jumped in.
Okay,
I want to ask you, who is the more open person?
Wait.
We didn't get that.
Amongst the two of you,
Who is more
open?
Who is more open?
Yes.
Who is more open?
Oh, yeah.
Generally, she is.
What? Generally.
Yeah, some, like we say, we're coming from different places. There are certain aspects where one can be more open than the other. Yes, there are places, there are areas where I'm more open. There are areas where, but like I said, generally, if you put them all together, she's more open, because I'm coming from that kind of background where we work. My dad, my mom, is on need to know basis. Not like you can't get the full picture. They deal with you on need to know basis. So coming from there, I have to learn to not get angry when the questions are asked. Like, I need to know, I'm your wife. You shouldn't tell me, I shouldn't hear it when the children are hearing it. Like, what's my stake here, kind of. Initially I used to really get upset, like, woman, know your place. Just
so frustrating.
Stay in your lane. But I had to learn that, no, that's not how it works. That's where I'm coming from. I have to let it go if I'm going to go to the future and begin to learn, I'm doing a lot better than when we started. But the thing that I know I'm good at, I no longer get angry when questions come. I need to know what's the plan? Where are we going? All of those questions, it no longer upsets me. Like, why are you asking me? Just follow. I'm the leader, just follow. And all of that. I no longer get upset at that. So work in progress. So she generally is more open than I am.
And he talks more. I mean, like, if we put on this camera, he's done talking. Done talking.
So I want to also ask you, what advice will you give men? Because I think this issue is more about men, especially African men. We have this mindset. If I use money as an instance, when I was getting married, a man I respect so much told me, if you want to have a good relationship with your wife, don't tell her how much you have. Keep your money to yourself. Give her what she needs per time. And my dad was like that. Sometimes we used to ask him money, he said no money. All of a sudden, he would just bring money from somewhere. And you're wondering, how did this man do it? So what advice will you give men like us who had similar issues or who have similar issues?
Men like us, really. It's not for men like us, it's not about where we're coming from. The reality of marriage, we are getting to learn a lot more. The realities have changed a lot. There's a lot of information out there So the hide and seek we do in marriage, it's a cake. It's no longer obtainable today. It won't be tomorrow. So we shouldn't be left behind. Our relationships suffer when we continue to try to behave like our fathers and our grandfathers. So we should be willing to be more open. That's why young men who are not married should be careful. Marry someone you can be open to. There's no need to not be open, except you're afraid. And another reason why they're afraid is they have this notion that women are like that. If you tell them what you have, their needs are going to grow to the amount of money you say you have. That's the general belief. If she used to wear 5,000 naira shoes, and now she knows that you have 5 million, she'll suddenly develop appetite for $5,000 shoes and all of that. So that's the general notion. So that's why you should marry a woman who's mature. Not every woman is materialistic. It's just a notion. Now, in fact, if you check well, the percentage of materialistic women are not even as high, but it's just that people have blown it out of proportion. We exaggerate a lot, especially as Africans. So every woman is greedy, all of those things. That's why someone will advise you, don't tell her how much, so that she doesn't plan according to everything you have. Let her plan by what you give her. Maybe, she'll start buying properties in her name, or there's just a lot of notions because of one or two isolated cases of bad women. And then that now becomes the brand for all women. So we should change our minds about things. See your spouse differently. They are part of you. We should view marriage as what it is. We're now one. We're now doing this together. We're now partners, equal partners. So whatever you have, bring to the table. If the woman you think is, being greedy or mismanaging, talk about it. I don't want to be close. I don't want to stop giving you information, but I noticed that you do this. If you notice that whenever you say, oh, I just landed a 5 million naira contract, and suddenly she wants to change the car that nothing was wrong with, talk about it. We should talk a lot. If I continue to notice it, I'll begin to hide things. I will tell you that. If I notice that whenever I tell you that this has come in, you begin to bring up needs that were not there before. Next time, I won't tell you everything, so that you don't talk about it. Let her know that this is how things are. And we will enjoy a better marriage when we are open. There's nothing to hide. It's heavy when you have secrets. You should be light and enjoy your marriage. Just be light and feel free and enjoy your marriage.
I like how Ayiba looks at you when you're talking. You have anything to add to what he said? You have anything to add to what he said, Ayiba?
You should add.
Add to what?
What did you say?
He has plenty things to add.
What do you mean by that? I don't have anything to add.
Okay.
I don't have anything to add. I just, for me, it's just, I'm very careful so that young people who are listening, just like what I said before, I'm very careful that they don't think it's as simple as the way it sounds. It's an intentional work. It's work. You have to work it. You have to work it. We always say it. You have to work. If you want this to happen, then you have to give this, and give this. So it's intentional. We worked it. I mean, we've been married for 10 years. We've crossed so many bridges. We've met so many hurdles. Like I said, it wasn't like this, we're still work in progress, so everybody should be patient to take it step by step. But it works.
Yeah. I think what you said actually, kind of, it's the glue that kind of binds everything that we've been talking about. So having that relationship is not by default. It's not just something that you just, Holy Spirit, take control. You have to be intentional about what you do.
Hold your trousers and get to work.
A lot of young people just feel that, a good marriage, or, you see a couple together and you're like, oh, how I wish I can just be like these people. I mean, they have had their moments, just like what Ayiba was saying about having hurdles, having to go through those challenges. And, it's about going through those challenges together, because sometimes you make a lot of memories, even when, life is not so pleasant. I can still remember that, the most best moment of our relationship was actually when we really had nothing. Sometimes I say to him that I really miss those days, that it was just so simple, you just did everything. It was just pure, there was nothing that you really need to kind of fancy, because these days I think a lot of people complicate relationships and try to meet up with some expectation, try to keep the optics, do some things and get people to see that everything is all perfect. No marriage is a perfect journey. It's all like
like you said, it's a work in progress, and it's like building a house that you never complete. You keep laying the foundation after foundation, which is the starting point. You bring in the bricks. In UK they say bricks, in Nigeria they say blocks. So you keep laying it and building it. You keep building it, and once in a while some part will chip off, you still fix it and all of those. So if people have this understanding that marriage is not a one-off thing, it might be wonderful today, tomorrow things could happen that could shake it, but then you remember that summer is still coming. You keep working at it.
It's all about acknowledging the seasons of your relationship and just embracing them, because sometimes people just break up in the worst moments rather than trying to glean value or glean germs from that worst moment, because there's a reason why that thing has happened, and it could even be something fantastic can actually come out of it.
Exactly.
So
wonderful talking with the two of you. But before we leave, I would want you to tell us the secrets of your marriage. What is the secret? In one word, or in, I don't know, just encapsulate the secret of your relationship. Because I can see from how your wife leans on you,
there's a glow.
You could see the glow, you could see the bond, you could see the chemistry. Even though you've been married for 10 years going. See how he's even smiling. Tell us, what's the secret?
Okay, for me, I think we have come to accept our uniqueness as individuals, and we live like that. Like now, when we visit her parents, we don't eat from the same plate, and it's a big deal for people, but for us, it's nothing. Like, there's a way she eats, I don't like it. I take my time, I eat little by little, but we have come to accept it. It's not a problem. But when we go there and I say, no, don't put our food together. The parents go like, is there any trouble? Are you people quarreling? Are you people fighting? I don't know that. But for us, it's nothing. I want to enjoy my meal without complaining. Eat from your side. Don't eat in front of me. Don't pick that meat. Don't pick all of those things. That's just an example, but we have accepted. And wherever I go, people still think we're still dating because we are still like that. We play. We don't mind, there's a way married people are supposed to behave and all of that. We don't care about all of those things. We just are ourselves. We have accepted ourselves and we live like that. And we also believe there are no irreconcilable differences. There's nothing like that. It's just when one party is unwilling, that's what it becomes irreconcilable. When one party is now unwilling to reconcile, but really there's no irreconcilable difference. There's no difference we cannot reconcile. We believe that, so that just keeps us
going. Is that why did you just talk about both of us though? Well, that's it. I'll just add communication, right? So my husband isn't much of a talker. I already sounded that he's much of a talker. Initially, he's that person that something happens, you get upset. My husband goes out because I think he used to be scared of those those reactions or everything. So he could go out and come back in the next 2 hours, and my husband behaves like nothing happened. So he begins from where he stopped before the argument or the quarrel. So, initially we'll leave those things and they keep piling up like that, but we talk things through. Right, so we just learned to talk. We talk about everything. If my husband is tired, side of my talk right now. We talk about everything, but some things you think that he shouldn't be hearing about, I just go on. I mean, these days he doesn't even remember I said it. I said it. So we just say it. I mean, he just listens. So I think that helps. Yeah, that has helped. Well, and he's open. I am open. He's open, yeah, to the extent, everything he's saying, he is, right? He's open. I mean, there's lots of things that I know they haven't been easy for him to be open about, but he could take his time and, eventually he says it, right? We argue and everything, but we just go on. So he's open, we communicate, and the rest of everything that he said, that's
for me, looking at you guys, the only thing I can take away is that you're best of friends.
Yeah.
And being friends.
Yeah, really.
Yeah. I mean, we could actually quarrel, and I don't have who to go and tell something else. Then I'll come and still tell him that thing, and I'm upset. I'm telling him I'm upset that he's the one I have to tell, but I still have to say it. So, yeah, so we're friends like that.
True.
Wow, amazing. The thing is, I always say to people when they have issues in relationship that, the problem that you have is not bigger than the relationship. It's not more important than the relationship. Because if you were to search or ask your husband in his heart of heart, or your wife, whoever it is, in their heart of heart, they mean well. Mm-hmm. They wouldn't want to see you go through that pain. And,
even though it happens,
it's sad that it does happen sometimes, but the quicker you talk about it, the better you kind of square up and everything is, back to normal. But, sometimes our ego or our, so many things about the human factor gets in the way, and kind of like, no, let me see whether he's going to talk to me first. And, those kind of things get in the way. But, it's all that we can actually have a wonderful marriage. Yes, that's the bottom line of it. I just want to thank you, Afy and Ayiba.
Thank you so much for your time.
Yes, for just coming in today, and just you guys are the ones actually launching this whole conversation series. So thank you guys so very much for your time. I know you guys are busy people, but you made time to come be with us today. So thank you so very much.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Yeah.
And then for our viewers, please follow Afy on his YouTube channel, social media handles, and YouTube.
Yeah, I think we're gonna put the link on the comments as well. Yes, we're gonna do that. Thank you guys.
Thank you. Thank you so much for what you're doing. Relationship Builders Forum is doing such a great job, and we're glad to be associated with you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It was great to have Afy and his wife Ayiba join us today on the conversation. If you have anything to say, or maybe there's some questions that they didn't quite cover, please put it in the chat function below, and I'm sure they're going to answer to that. Thank you so very much, guys. It's great to see you again every single time. Until the next episode is goodbye.